In the previous video, Heena got the job at Blue Dragon Guild. When she reached home, she wanted to have a chicken party. She had just opened the beer can, when Polly, the cute snail, commented that drinking too much is bad, and she is being delinquent. She took a sip and felt refreshed. She replied that he should let things go sometimes. This kind of day is called for chicken and beer. She was in a jolly mood. Everything was pretty good. But there was one problem with the house: she couldn't have food delivered to Home Sweet Home. It would be a shock for other people. Well, she can pick up food herself, like she did today. Now was the party time. She took a chicken piece, congratulated herself, and just as she was going to take a bite, she paused. She missed her brother. If he had been here with her, he would have felt proud and they would have celebrated together. It was almost 3 weeks and there was no news of him or when his raid would end. The text message she had sent was still unseen. They say no news is good news, but she was worried. Thinking of that, it reminded her of something. She asked Polly if other people could come into this house. If her brother couldn't even enter, then living here would be pointless. Polly moved his antenna in the affirmation that family and guests can visit or move in. For Heena, it was an incredible news. She can even imagine now how shocked he will be when he finds out that she has gotten a free house, thinking that now only can she focus on the chicken and start eating, before it gets cold, and Polly reminded her not to spill. She cleaned up the whole box of hee-hee chicken. For Heena, chicken was the best and tasted good. Since she was full, while sipping the beer, she wanted to check her skill set before she had to go to work. The system flashed with the skills set: Cozy Bed Rank D, Pluck Plant Rank C, Home Sweet Home Rank D, Pest Control Rank D, Shrewd Hand Rank D, Food Power Rank D, and Master Chef's Touch Rank D. Except for picking wild greens, they're all D rank. The proficiency of Shrewd Hands was quite high. That was obvious because all she had been doing was cleaning. Since it was a passive skill, she wondered if it also applied when she used other abilities. And the Pest Extermination skill's proficiency was -100. Did she even use it? She was still thinking. Then suddenly, Polly smacked her leg with his antenna. How could she forget that she had assaulted him, and she should condemn her evil deeds? Heena could see him smacking nonstop, but it only tickled her. Heena thought that by doing this his antenna would hurt more and she had never assaulted him. But then she remembered the first meeting with Polly. She had kicked him thinking of a bug. She realized her mistake. She was embarrassed and asked for forgiveness that she didn't know. And because of it, Pest Control skill was automatically activated. But why was it -100? Was it because she hit a snail instead of a bug? She wondered that if a snail would enter one's house, didn't they all count as pests? The snail, Polly, was very angry seeing the rude behavior of Heena. He straightened his antenna that she was so rude and he was not an ordinary snail. He was very angry to the point Heena felt so tiny instead. He was the home administrator, the housing fairy, not some filthy bug, and she assaulted him, so penalty points were imposed. Heena felt sorry that it was bad enough that she hit him, but she also spoke thoughtlessly and asked for forgiveness. She realized that it was a big mistake if it made her lose 100 in proficiency, but Polly was not planning to be lenient towards her. It was a big mistake. Then severe punishment was required. Heena could feel that Polly was putting pressure on her. Polly used his power. Then suddenly the dirty wallpapers were full of doodles. The striking floral patterns that could hurt one's eyes were everywhere, and walls become moldy again. Polly was taking revenge. It was an eye for an eye and tooth for a tooth. Heena was stunned seeing the flowery hell everywhere. Polly made the house full of awfully hybrid designs. Heena could only beg the snail that she was sorry and requested not to ruin the house anymore. This was the first in history where a human being was begging a snail. Her eyes became teary. She was deeply remorseful and asked for forgiveness. Polly pouted his mouth contemplating. Then he accepted the apology. Heena felt relieved and thanked him. The current wallpaper was so flashy that she never knew she would miss the previous dirty wallpaper. She might dream at night of being crushed by flowers. She requested Polly to turn it back to normal. She begged him. But the snail's antenna flinched, and he avoided eye contact with Heena. She made the prayer pose and requested, like, "Oh, great home administrator and housing fairy Polly, Please fulfill this human's wish. The snail was not making eye contact, not because he did not want to do it, but because it was his out of control. It was impossible. Heena pressured that. What does that mean? Polly was sweating. He just mumbled something. Hannah deduced the word restoration. Suddenly, system screen flashed. It said that a hidden quest had been unveiled. Self-interior challenge quest has been unlocked. She got her very first quest. The description was strangely in a detailed manner this time, but also open-ended. There was no time limit. The required quests were to rip off useless wallpaper, change the colors of the walls, and change the color of the sink. Usually the penalty was big if one failed a quest, but here was not the case. It was nothing but the anesthetic house she was currently in, so she wanted to try it. Even if it was not for the quest, she couldn't live like this. She was distraught seeing the surroundings. Then Polly opened his mouth and muttered that this good quest came thanks to him. Hearing this, Heena smiled, but was far from the smile that he should be quiet before she got mad at him this time. She began planning. It was Tuesday, and she had to start working the next Monday, so she had about a week left. That was plenty for her. She pulled up her sleeves to get started. She planned to get rid of the mold first. Polly chipped in that she must wear the outfit. Henna agreed to his nagging. The system said that wearing appropriate items increases the effectiveness of all skills by 50%. After she became ready, it was time to use the level 5 reward, which was a mold remover grade A. Heena thought that it would be convenient if she could store regular items in the inventory too. Too bad that she could only store items from the system in dungeons, or byproducts of those items. She had stored her first handmade blanket in bed, when she was trapped in the dungeon. Anyway, she should get started. She bent down and picked up Polly, who misunderstood that she was going to assault him again. He got angry that Henna had locked him in the bathroom, but she was thoughtful because the mold remover was toxic and told him to stay put. Then she wore a mask for herself and started spraying. The system dinged, saying it would take 15 minutes to see the effects of the mold remover, and it's harmful to the human body, so be sure to ventilate after 15 minutes. The spray was quite strong, and with the mask on, Henna felt suffocated too. She planned to spray it quickly and open the door. After she was done, she hurriedly opened the door. It smelled like toxic gas. She was suffocated inside. So when she opened the door, she closed her eyes to take a deep breath of fresh air. The outside air was wonderful. When she opened her eyes, she saw the sight which left her stunned. In a vast field, monsters were running around. She immediately closed the door. She felt like she was dreaming. She assured herself that she might be seeing things, and opened it again. Then some snowball greeted her face. What she saw was not the same field as earlier, but a vast mountain with full of snow and rumbling thunderbolts. She trembled, not knowing if it was cold or the sight she was seeing. She guessed. It might be a dungeon. The only house on the top of the mountain in a vast area full of feral animals left Henna speechless.